All right. Like I said, I was gonna do like a quick presentation on. I was just been talking through like systems and processes. How do you create systems and processes, standard operating procedures for businesses, for your business, whatever business world you're in. And I've specifically been talking with Adrian Espinoza about like his realtor, his brokerage business. I've been kind of helping him try to figure out how to put some systems and processes in place. And I was thinking back when David Gutierrez and I started our flipping rehab business, and started to kind of grow and scale. And we were like, oh man, like we got to put some systems and processes in place. And so like before ChatGPT, before like, we had listened to podcasts and read books and all kinds of other stuff. Um, but this is kind of what we came up with. And we literally just, I'm going to share my screen. Um, let's see here, share screen. Um, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. So what we did was essentially we just took like a Word document, and I wrote down every single task that I do like in our business. And I was just thinking through like what do I do day-to-day operations, anything I do, and I just started making lists, right? So like here's my list, Stu's tasks, right? And we just like started writing everything, brainstorming, dumping onto paper. So here's all the tasks that I was doing for our rehab business, right?
Yeah.
David did the same thing. He just brain dumped everything that he did in his business, wrote it all down. As you see, he's not on the call, but I do a lot more than he does. If you'll see, my tasks are way longer than his. And then we had our principal, like realtor, project manager, like on ground, boots on ground, person in Milwaukee, and like so she started like writing down all of her tasks, right? And so from there, you'll see the green highlight. We realized quickly like we needed someone to help with that kind of just the regular like, administrative duties. So we started highlighting in green kind of like what an admin person could do.
Hmm.
And from there, we kind of created just like an admin role. So storehouse administrative assistant. We came up with a job description, and everything that we had kind of written down and highlighted and agreed, we kind of moved over, and kind of put like a process in it, in place of like anything that an admin person would do for us. Um, from there, we then decided we were going to use a project management software. We did a bunch of research on different ones. We looked at different ones, and we decided on Asana. Have you heard of that, Glenn?
I'm vaguely familiar with it. Yes.
Okay. So it's loading up here. So we subscribe to Asana, and started using that. And from basically that Word document, we then started trying to really get detailed on the process from start to finish of like buying a house to like flipping, rehabbing to selling a house. And we created what we called the deal shell. And so you can see there's tons of different projects that we created, but this project, what we did, we called it the deal shell. And no kidding, like we created milestones and we created every single step along the way, every single process. So step one, making an offer on a new deal. We signed a purchase agreement. We created a new project in Asana. So we basically went and we duplicated the shell. We titled it the address that it was. So you see here over here, like all these green are the addresses of the properties that we were buying. And so we basically just copied and pasted the deal shell into a new project and titled it the address, right?
Yeah.
And literally every single time we bought a deal, because we were doing five, six, seven projects a month, flipping houses, we just copied and pasted. And that way we had the same process over and over and over again. We had milestones, second milestone, offer accepted on our offer. We updated the deal tracker to and we had a Google Drive where we had a kind of a running spreadsheet of all the deals that we were running. And so, as you see here, I mean, there's tons and tons and tons. And what we could do
Yeah.
is once we had a team, we invited all of our team into Asana, and you could assign, like we had an admin person, we would assign Sam, our admin person, and we could give her due dates, right? Give her his due date of
Yeah.
when we
So
wanted
this
this.
is your project management software, but it's also you're kind of using it like a workflow tool as well.
That's right. Yep. Yep. So this was
Very
back
cool.
like 2018, 2019 when we started really getting kind of going, flipping a bunch of houses. And it really worked for us. Like it was really helpful to kind of keep, the same deal structure every time over and over again. We could track projects, and it really helped us. And so transitioning from this, I've been kind of working with Adrian and their team. And I just went to ChatGPT. I've been trying to use ChatGPT a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And I said, my prompt was what tools and best practices can be used to start creating systems and standard operating procedures for a business that you own. And like ChatGPT does, it just boomed out like step by step guidance. And I'll give you I basically copied and pasted that into Gamma, which is another one I'm trying to use more of. And here's what it came up with. Okay. So this is not me saying that this is ChatGPT kind of saying what any business owner should do to create a system and an SOP for your business. So it says start with process mapping. So before writing your standard operating procedures, just document anything for what your business does. And this is kind of similar to what we did on our Word document, right? Find out, what triggers the process, the steps in order of the process, decision points, who's responsible, and the final outcome for this process. And this gives us some tools for process mapping. I haven't used any of these tools except for maybe like the whiteboard and phone camera, i.e., like Word document. But here's some tools that ChatGPT recommends for using. Any of those familiar? Glenn, have you ever seen any of those or used any of them?
I used so I have heard of Lucid Chart, but yeah, Visio is what I have used professionally to do this
Okay.
with a lot of clients. And yeah, this is interesting because this is typically how I do it. Is I start with the process mapping and overlay swim lanes either by team or responsibilities, and you can see those handoffs. But yeah, it's exactly what you're talking about here.
Okay. Cool, man. Well, second stage it says, hey, just record yourself doing what you're doing, right? If you're doing anything on a computer, you should be recording yourself, do a screen recording or of the task, or literally just use a phone and record yourself on video doing and talking through what you're doing. We started to do that too. Like we started using Zoom and we would, use the Zoom to capture the screen of everything we're doing in our business. And then we would put it into YouTube as a private link. And then we would share that in Asana as a part of, that long, checklist. Um, and then from there, I mean, you could, like it says here, narrate what you're doing and then have someone turn it into a written SOP. I haven't tried this. I'm making an assumption that you could probably take that video, post it on ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, make an SOP from this video. I bet you would probably do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there's tools that can. If it can't,
Yeah.
you get something close.
Yeah. Um, have you done any of this or tell your clients to do this?
I haven't used AI to do it yet. But yeah, I mean it definitely, once you have those flow charts and the functions mapped, it's not too hard to break it into job descriptions, right?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of thinking like big teams, but like at the small company level, exactly what you're saying. You can record yourself. I was reading this kind of gets into like time audits, right? And like
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read there's a book by Dan Martell. It's called Buy Back Your Time.
I haven't read it yet. It's on my list.
Okay, yeah, I've written about two-thirds of it, and it's pretty solid, but it's right up this way.
Okay. Nice. Um, okay, so next step, it says to, create a central SOP hub. You need a platform, obviously, to house all of this information. At the time we were using Asana to house this information because you can attach documents inside the checklists in Asana. And there's a lot of other tools, the platforms that it recommends, Notion. Obviously, you can just use Google Docs with a drive. ClickUp, I hadn't heard of that, or Confluence, I hadn't heard of that either. But you can start to kind of organize your business in these like structures of your sales department, your operations, your marketing, finance, HR, et cetera.
Hmm.
And this was good too. I think the SOP, once you've kind of had those process maps, like nail out like what's the purpose of it, scope, who's owning it, right? the tools that you're using, KPIs if there are some, and a revision date. When's the last time this was revised? Because, if you have a business that's ongoing for years and years, if it hasn't been revised in, 5 years, 10 years, like it could be really out of date. So I think that's a really good addition to any SOP. I
Absolutely.
remember in the military, like there were the SOPs that were forever old, and definitely like the military, the Navy didn't do a very good job of updating SOPs very often.
Well, okay, but that might be true. But one thing I think that the military, at least conceptually, I thought the Marine Corps was good about was desktop procedures.
Mm,
You know, and trying to at least come up with a standard.
yeah,
Whether or not it's followed is another case, but
yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, yeah, and then anything like aviation wise, right? Like you had all the SOPs and NATOPs and
yeah.
checklists and all that emergency procedures, all that stuff. So that those were always typically updated. Um, All right, start with the high leverage process, right? I mean, you want to start with kind of like the revenue generating processes, hiring, onboarding, client onboarding. Pick a couple departments, right, that are the major ones of an organization and start there. This is kind of tailored to the real estate world because that's kind of the world that I run in. Here's
Hmm.
some examples of the priorities that you might want to start to put in place. Dealer underwriting checklist, contractor onboarding, change orders, draw requests, budget tracking, weekly site visits, right? Kind of start with the high margin, high leverage kind of stuff first that is going to make you the money. Let's see. Turn SOPs into checklists. Obviously we don't want super long checklists like our SOPs, 10, 15, 20, 100-page documents. We want to make them short and sweet, checklist style. This says Asana. That was really good for us. I know Monday.com is another version of Asana, and then Trello, I know, is another version. I think Trello and Monday are free. We were paying a small monthly fee for Asana, but any of
Yeah,
those like project management software tools are really good.
yeah. There's another one. It's got a Kanban board in it. I don't know if you're familiar with how those work. You could set up projects, and then you have your different statuses, right? And it could be a recurring task or project task, but then you can assign tasks to folks,
Yeah,
and then as it's moved through the phases, right, um, you can track as you go.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And then Google Sheets can always work too. Um, I
Hmm.
I don't know. I tend to try to get away from like Google and Google Docs because I think they can be messy and like the storage of just anything in a Google Drive. Like if someone doesn't have access to it. I really liked using an actual like software tool like Asana where like everyone has access to it. There's an app for it, and you can it's very accessible.
Yes, and Jira, that's the one I was thinking of.
Okay,
Through Atlassian, it's like $15 a month or something for the starter,
how do
but
you
that's
spell
all.
it?
JIRA, I believe.
JIRLA. Okay, sweet. Um, Assign ownership. I think this is actually really, really smart. For us, I was kind of like the systems operations guy. So like most of ownership was on me to kind of create these checklists and assign who was doing each, step of the project. But I think this is true. It's critical to have a process owner and to actually have like a metric for it, right? Have a key performance indicator and then set up an actual review cycle. Like how often are you going to review these things as the owner? Quarterly,
Mhm.
yearly, every couple of years. Um, these questions of who updates it, how do we know it's working, and when do we review it?
Yeah, yeah. So many times these SOPs sit on a shelf. The bigger they
Right.
get, the less likely they are to be used.
Yeah, dude, for sure, for sure. And then like people just start making up their own stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Version control. This is recommended best practices for having again kind of review date last updated, um, updating tracking like how it's going. If there's changes that need to be made, and then automate as much as possible. some tools, Zapier. I haven't really done much with Zapier. Calendly I use all the time. DocuSign, that's great in the real estate world. QuickBooks,
Hmm.
also great.
Hmm.
If that can automate from your bank to QuickBooks and just tracking stuff. Tons of other tools that you can use to try to help automate some stuff. We had also done, we had connected Slack to Asana. And so on your phone, you could actually text via Slack, and that would connect to Asana to like update, something on your
Interesting.
checklist. And that was pretty cool too.
Hmm.
So super helpful in automating stuff. Did you guys have you kind of worked with automation much, kind of in the business executive operations role kind of stuff?
Um, oh yeah, yeah. A lot of it's been bigger systems that I've worked
Hmm.
on in the past, the ERPs, SAP and that kind of stuff. But I think that's the real challenge, right? The bigger the company gets, or as it moves up the maturity model, it's how do you upgrade systems without having all these legacy things that don't connect? But then at
Yeah.
what point do you invest in something like that versus, I think most small businesses can use these sort of systems you've got here, with the addition of maybe a CRM on top of this.
Yep. For
But
sure.
yeah, there's like an AI now, right? Have you heard of Go Higher Level?
No.
So it's Joy Abdullah, I think, is doing some work with this, so I'll plug him here as well. But
Yeah.
I've got a AI consultancy that's built like this AI uh, chatbot for my real estate company. And
Okay.
so it kind of handles my lead flow, schedules showings, and does the CRM. But it kind of integrates AI plus the CRM is really what it does. But it's got a lot more functionality than that as well. So I don't know. That's just sort of a newer tool that's out there now. But it basically can be set up as white label.
Okay.
Um, so you might hear more and more about
Yeah,
it.
Joey did a presentation early on, and I failed to record it correctly because he had a presentation, and I failed to record it
Did it?
with like
Okay.
the presentation screen. And it was really good, so we need to have him come back and do another one. But his was more tailored towards like the social media ads and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I do know he's kind of gotten big into the AI stuff as well. Um,
Yeah. And I think as you're alluding to, that's the question now is like, how do you integrate AI into your business in the right
mhm.
way?
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. I know there's a ton of tools out there that I'm still just briefly learning. Um, so this is just kind of a quick 30-day implementation plan that ChatGPT recommended as far as like if you're starting from scratch, hey, like week one, again, kind of document stuff, right? That process mapping from like what starts it through like next steps, and try to get through like three core, revenue processes. Week two, kind of build the SOP hub. Like, where are you going to store this stuff? Is it going to be something like Asana, or is it going to be, Google Drive? Week three, take from the process maps and maybe like your video recordings and try to then turn that into checklists and workflows. And then week four, you take those and you actually assign ownership to individuals within your business. Now, if that's just you, obviously that, you're doing all of it. But then figure out how you can actually manage that, check on it, review it, create some, key performance indicators and how you're going to review that. And I think that's a really great start to kind of implementing some processes and systems.
Absolutely. I mean, can you think of like use cases, right? Like I'm just kind of thinking like for small business owners, right? The solopreneur starting
Hmm.
out, it's probably an executive assistant. Maybe you've got, with real estate, you hire a VA to do
Yep.
some of your search. What else is there? Like what would you start hiring
Yeah, I mean,
out?
so I took that. So I went to let's see, I went to so using ChatGPT, they gave me all this, and then my next prompt was I said, how would you start this process for a real estate brokerage? And then it spit out this one. And so I copied and pasted that and put it into another presentation. So this is kind of like for a real estate brokerage, right? Got to
Okay.
clarify your model. Um, you know, Yeah, clarify your model first. Like, what type of brokerage are you? Uh, Here's like kind of the main core brokerage processes, right? Agent recruiting, agent onboarding, lead generation, listing houses, buyers, finding buyers, your transaction management, and then finance and compliance. So those are kind of like the six buckets for like where you can start with your processes, right? And
Okay.
each one of those processes, you can then, and this kind of recommends like here's the system, here's the workflow. You get a lead, you set an appointment, you sign a listing agreement, it goes active, then it's under contract, and then it's closed. So like going through that whole SOP, the process of that, could be your first, process. Um, Buyer process, kind of similar thing, going from consult to, showing, offer, inspection, appraisal, closing, transaction management, like how you getting from the closing or how you getting from contract to closing, like what tools are you using, what documents, what needs to be signed, what needs to be uploaded in the MLS, all that kind of stuff. Agent recruiting, how you finding more agents to grow your team. Agent onboarding, once you have a new agent, like what are you doing? How are you teaching that agent what to do? It has to be a part of your own brokerage. Lead gen, like how are you getting more leads? CRM, how are you marking your calendar with touch points? How are you following up? These are all like really good systems for same thing, creating your SOP hub, figuring out where you want to store all this stuff. How are you assigning ownership? How are you reviewing? And kind of the same like 30-day plan, weeks 1 through 4, like again, kind of writing everything down, your process, your mapping to, installing like KPIs and getting it all done. So that was just for like the brokerage side of it, but
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Any thoughts?
Um, yeah, I mean, like all this stuff, like I was just thinking two other, so you talked about process maps, you talked about job descriptions. Have you heard of a RACI chart? I'm
I've
sure other
heard of
folks
it. I
probably
don't I
do.
don't know a ton about it.
Sometimes it's helpful, other times I feel like it's overkill, but basically you go through your functions and core processes, and then you would look at the people, and you're
Okay.
basically just going to mark if that person is responsible, accountable. Um, let's see, C is consulted or informed,
Okay.
RACI. And so it just helps you kind of to figure out like who are the stakeholders really for a
Mm,
process, who owns it, who's in part of it, who do you just tell. And then the other one, of course, is the org structure itself. So as you're,
yeah.
small, it's not as big a deal, but the bigger the teams get, right, those roles should roll up to some sort of logical
Yeah.
team structure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. Like when you go into a new business, when you're starting like a consultant as a consultant for one, like where do you start? Like where do you kind of figure out?
I really start with the pain points. What's the burning platform for that person? It could be something that has to do with revenue. It may not, but
Yeah.
yeah, typically start with that problem. How do we solve that problem? And I think with, you know, smaller businesses, founder-led businesses, it seems like, getting the founder more time back so they can do the things that they're really good at, right? Because I'm guilty of it. I'm sure, you are too. Like you have your business and you just like start doing all these different things because you kind of have to.
Yeah.
And then you eventually are doing things you don't want to do. And like, I spend a day, every week on accounting crap. And it's like, I don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta update my rent roll on my RV park, and I really don't want to do that because it
right,
just seems like a
right.
time suck. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Ryan, I don't know if you are able to talk, but just curious. I know you're like in the lender mortgage broker world.
What's up?
Anything?
What's up? Sorry, I was a little delayed
It's all good,
jumping
man.
on.
No, it's all good.
It's good to see you too. I'm on my phone. I'll see if I can prop it up. Hold on a second.
Yeah, it's all good.
Turn my
Anything?
camera on.
Are you running your own brokerage as a lender, or are you kind of like underneath a firm?
You see me?
Yeah, you're
Sweet.
upside down, but
Oh yeah, sure am. Okay.
there you go.
Um, yeah, so I'm basically an intrapreneur.
Okay.
Uh, solo entrepreneur.
Okay,
Yeah, launching new products that our company enterprise wide has not really done before.
cool.
So I'm full soup to nuts. Business plan, competitive analysis, go to market strategy, pricing strategy, compensation, project management, all that. So I've it's and then all the business development, so travel, um, CRM, website development and lead, intake and flow, the marketing to CRM to deal to customer kind of flow.
Wow.
So the process mapping is huge. And I'm using the traction framework with EOS,
Yep.
um, which is just getting into it. But I'm looking forward to hiring an implementer um, when I get to the point where I can
Yeah.
use them uh,
Do you have
more
do you have
effectively.
do you have people underneath you like integrators that are kind of doing some of these tasks and roles, or is it all you right now?
I've got um, I've got a basically like a entry level, like fresh out of college kid that's in our rotational program in our company. So
Okay.
I've been, leveraging him for some of the hours outside of his rotational training.
Yeah.
And then I just got approval to get like an admin assistant because I'm just getting pretty slammed with stuff and so that's a pretty good win. But I've got to, as you know, when you explain, you got to write down all the tasks that me and my current assistant are doing, and then
Yeah.
figure out what we want that new person to take on, and then onboard them into the team, and then now you're getting them up to speed on what you're trying to do. So hopefully, I'll get to at least do some kind of internal interviewing instead of them just um, assigning someone to me. But beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah.
I've tried to make the case to invest in like a more experienced person in these product areas for the industry. They just would rather. My case hasn't been strong enough, and I don't think I've earned it yet. So
Nice.
um, yeah, so just literally the dog with the fire in the background, just like everything's okay,
Nice.
trying to stay organized. So I've leveraged a lot of tools, a lot of AI. Um, we use the Microsoft Suite, so
Okay.
it's Copilot and Dynamics, Outlook, Planner, Teams. Um, so that's where I'm working on integrating Planner with all those apps in a project management standpoint. That's kind of my next thing to connect everything. Um, so it just makes tasking people and holding people accountable according to that RACI matrix you're talking about
Yeah.
really much easier, and you can show a timeline when something has been set up and when it's overdue, and it emails you automatically. It's very convenient to try to have, at least, yeah, the Microsoft Suite seems to be convenient in that you can kind of work on a lot of different things and wherever you are, right,
Hmm.
in Excel or PowerPoint or Outlook, because it's all connected, which is nice. But um, it's a beast. It certainly is a beast.
Yeah. No, that traction book and the series and the EOS that system is really good. We were using that in our business. We were having weekly, L10 meetings
Oh,
and
great. Yeah.
running the traction EOS model.
Are you
So
guys still doing that?
no, because we stopped flipping houses like during COVID 21 22.
But you recommend it?
Highly recommend it.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yep. The
Yeah.
L10 EOS traction model, like it was great.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So back
Good little
to
trade.
your question to me on the New Year's stuff. Like, yeah, still just trying to systematize
Yeah.
really so I can go hands off, right? And plug and play anybody in and have a playbook. If
Yeah.
I even if I move on to something else, there's a playbook ready to go. Um,
Yeah.
and you just got to fill it with bodies. So,
That's good, man.
but yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, you too, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I don't want to keep you
yeah,
guys. I know we're a couple
yeah. I
minutes
think we were able
over.
to help out Monteverdi too pretty well.
Oh, good.
So yeah, he's I think he's really happy. So
Good.
um, I got to check in with my guy that's helping him out and check with them. But I think they're about to close, which is cool.
Sweet. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, yeah, I really appreciate it.
For sure. Well, cool, guys. Well, yeah, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
input and good to see you
and
guys. And
I'll sign up eventually, Stu. Don't worry.
yeah, yeah,
I
let's do
will.
it. Okay.
Yeah. All right,
Sounds good,
man.
man. All right, buddy.
Thanks.
All right.